Hello, YouTube! I told you I'd be back soon. And remember last time, it was all 5 were video games of what I reviewed. Today's a little lighter on the video games, but not by much. We got 4 games and 1 book this time around. So let's start with the book for something a little different. The book I read, Dune, a 1965 sci-fi classic by Frank Herbert. I've always heard of this book, never knew much about it, and then I saw the trailers for the movie that recently came out a while back, and I was like, oh, maybe I should read this before I watch the movie, because I was definitely interested in the movie. So it's a really confusing story in a lot of ways. It focuses on a guy named Leto Atreides, I don't know how you say the last name, and his not wife Jessica, even though it really kind of is his wife, and their young son Paul. They rule on a planet called Caladan, an ocean planet, amongst the universe, which has been settled all sorts of, space travel and stuff. And they have been reassigned to a planet called Arrakis, which is a desert planet that's very harsh living, but is also a very important planet because it contains a substance called spice. And this spice is used in many things. It's very important to the whole. It's used to be able to do space travel, and also it's ingested as kind of a drug that allows people to gain different abilities. It's all very strange, and but this is all part of a coup by the Emperor to destroy the Atreides family, and have the Harkonnens, who were the previous rulers of Arrakis, destroy them not long after they arrive on there. So the attack is successful for the most part. It kills Duke Leto, but his young son Paul and his wife Jessica manage to escape, and they are taken in by the Freemen, which are people that live out in the desert, that the more civilized people and the rulers of the planet aren't really aware just how many Freemen there are and just exactly the extent of their capabilities. So Paul and his mother fall in with these people and eventually plot retribution against the Emperor and his forces that killed his father and took Arrakis from them. So it's just Paul and his mother's journey as things evolved, and there's so much. There's like a type of religion in this book that like Paul and his mother are foreseen by the Freemen to lead them to victory, and like these powers that they have, like they can see into the future sort of thing. They can read minds and influence other people's decisions just by using their voice on them. So there's all sorts of weird mystical stuff going on in this book, and the book skips ahead a number of years without you really even realizing it. So it's really a lot to take in, but the book really picks up in the second half, and the final battle is really cool. And once the final battle happens, a number of the blanks that you're kind of wondering about during the book are kind of filled in for you. So it makes a lot more sense after the book is over, but still leaves you with a lot of questions. And if I cared that much about it, I might look into solving them, but I'll just watch the movie and see if that clears up any misunderstandings I may still have about the book. So very cool book, highly recommend, but it is a long read. First up for the 4 games, Ratchet & Clank, A Quest for Booty. This is actually called a Ratchet & Clank mini adventure. So, it's not that long. I got through this really quick. This is actually the 8th game in the Ratchet & Clank series, released in 2008, and of course, on the PS3. This takes place after Tools of Destruction, which they fight Emperor Tachyon in that game, and Clank is taken away by the Zoni at the end of that game. So they're kind of, Ratchet and Clank are separated, if you remember how that went. So this is basically Ratchet's story of how he tries to get back in touch with Clank and get him back from the Zoni. So him and Talwyn, his new kind of partner in crime, they discover that a pirate named Angstrom Darkwater, I believe his name is the only person who knows how to get in touch with the Zoni. So they set out to find this guy, and they end up over the Azorian Sea, only to find out that Angstrom Darkwater actually has died earlier. So this game is just the story of how they access his remains and kind of piece together a way to find Clank's whereabouts and get in touch with the Zoni. And at the end of it, we kind of see Dr. Nefarious enter the fray, which signals kind of the beginning of their adventures and their face-offs against each other in future games. So this game being a mini adventure, you didn't really have to acquire and save up for weapons all that much. You were kind of given them, and you could upgrade them a bit by use. But otherwise, it was all basically a very simple kind of Ratchet and Clank journey, very fast to play, and also a lot of fun. A very consistent Ratchet and Clank experience, just condensed into a smaller game. The next game is another Ratchet and Clank game called Ratchet and Clank Into the Nexus. This is the 13th game in the series, released in 2013, and takes place after Full Frontal Assault. So in this game, Ratchet and Clank are reunited, and they are, and they have been for a while, and they are now a part of the Polaris Defense Fleet, fighting alongside Kronk and Zephyr, who are the kind of Tallwind's robotic friends that the old geezers that kind of are really funny and are always telling stories. They are in the process of transferring a prisoner called Vendra Prague to a different prison when she escapes and destroys Kronk and Zephyr with the help of her brother Neftin. And they go on the lam, and Ratchet and Clank are super pissed that Kronk and Zephyr have been killed. And so this is basically them setting off after Vendra and Neftin in an act of kind of vengeance and, recapturing her and sending her to a place where she deserved to go in the first place. And before she went and offed Ratchet and Clank's buddies, right? So this one's a more full Ratchet and Clank experience. You got to purchase the weapons, the armor. You got to upgrade the weapons by use, but also you can spend raritanium to upgrade various aspects of the weapons as well. So it's more of a full Ratchet and Clank game compared to the Quest for Booty mini adventure. Next up, SpiderMan on the PS4, which won Game of the Year a number of years ago. This was released in 2018, I believe, and it's Spider-Man discovers a villain in New York City called Mr. Negative, I believe his name was. And he is tied to a gang of villains that Spider-Man dubs, I guess, the Demons, because they wear these demon masks. And they seem to be performing all sorts of nefarious activities all over New York. So it's Spider-Man kind of tracking down what exactly Mr. Negative has in store for New York City and what he's got his demons out doing across the city. And as events unfold from that, like Spider-Man's working with Dr. Octopus, or Peter Parker is, I guess, at the time. And so Dr. Octopus, his involvement in it, as well as a bunch of other guys, the Sinister Six, are formed in the game, and you have to square off against all six of them in the end of the game. So it's this really evolving storyline that's told really, really well. It's no wonder this game won Game of the Year. The storytelling's amazing. The graphics are amazing. The way he webs around the city and crawls walls and stuff is just fantastic. I got frustrated if you ever watch my gameplay. Sometimes I'd stick to a wall and I'd want to get off it and I couldn't. But that was just me being pissed off in the moment because I was under time constraints, and that's what happens. But otherwise, like, the game just controls like a dream. It looks like a dream. It's just fantastic. And not only is the story long and in-depth and told very well, but along the way, you are given so much bonus objectives to complete, which helps upgrades your abilities and your gadgets and unlocks new suits for you to wear. There's just so much to this game and in this game that I was playing this thing for months, and it wasn't a game that I got tired of. I look forward to playing it every time, and I'm glad that I beat it because it did go on for a long time, but I loved every minute of it. And on top of the regular story, there's 3 DLC chapters that all tie together that you can play after playing the main game, so which is also tied into the original plot as well. It just kind of continues after. But yeah, I can't say enough about this game. If you don't have it and you have a PS4, even if you don't like Marvel, even if you don't usually watch Spider-Man or whatever, it's still just a good game in general for anybody to play because it is that good. Last up, I don't have a case for this because it was a download on my Switch, which is one of the many ones I bought from the eShop that were on sale. And this game is called Limbo. This little game was released by the same people that made the game called Inside, which I reviewed maybe 2 or 3 videos ago probably. And it's a very different kind of game, a little bit spooky. You start off as this young boy in the middle of the forest, and it's very everything's dark and different shades of blacks and grays, and all you see is this little guy's silhouette and his two bright white eyes. And you make your way through the forest where you wake up, and there's a giant spider there trying to kill you, so you have to get your way past it. And as you go along in this game, it's very much just like Inside. It's just a series of dangerous situations that require puzzle-solving skills to get by and thinking. And as you make your way through the forest and encounter a few people here and there that are mostly intent on destroying you, you make your way into the ruins of like a city where the traps become less people and spiders and more physical barriers and dangerous elements of, you know, buildings being destroyed and things creaking and groaning and falling over and wanting to destroy you even though they're not real. Thinking things, it's just, you know, situations, you know what I'm trying to say. This game is amazing. It's every bit as good as Inside, but I found it really funny that when I played Inside, I didn't have to look up on the internet once how to solve a puzzle. I made it through the entire game on my own, but Limbo was the complete opposite. I had so much trouble in a number of places trying to figure out what the hell I had to do. And sometimes I was onto it, I just couldn't figure it out exactly. And other times I was like, no, I had no clue, literally zero clue. So I used the help of the internet a lot for this game, unlike Inside, which like I said, I didn't use once. I did it all on my own. But I like this game every bit as much as Inside. It's just such a cool and different tack to take on a game. And in the end, this guy, like early on in the game, you see him come across this girl, but she kind of takes off when she sees him. And in the end, he kind of finds her after the ending is really weird. He kind of finds this girl again, and you don't really know what happens, but it's all very mysterious and weird. And just otherworldly almost, you know, it's just very bizarre. And me and my buddy Simon's the one that showed me these games when he downloaded them. And we both very much like weird stuff, so he bought them and then I bought them right after. And I think he's played through both of them as well. But yeah, so very cool game, very different take on a game. And that's all I got for now. So I'm already working on the next batch of 5 things, so stay tuned. It should be coming again in the very near future. Toodles.